Dick Smith here. A lot of our supporters have been saying, what's happening to the OzEmite court case where Roger Ramsey is trying to get our OzEmite name struck off? Quickly, the history. If you remember, I came up with the OzEmite idea back in '99 because I couldn't believe that Vegemite was owned by Kraft and all the profits headed off overseas. We had a blaze of publicity, and also there was a big story on A Current Affair where Kraft went out and tried to register our OzEmite name. Everything went okay. We started working on the design to get the formula and the taste right. And 18 months later, a chap called Roger Ramsey from Adelaide, a small businessman, contacted OzBuy and said that he was going to change the name of his yeast spread called Dinky Dynamite. He was going to change it to OzEmite, but not OZE, AUSSIE. Now, John Pym at OzBuy said, hold on, Roger, you can't do that. That's Dick Smith's name. He's had the most incredible publicity on it. And Roger said, well, he hasn't got it on the market yet, so we're going to use his name. Imagine that. Let's move on about 5 years. 2005, 2006, we were still working on our OzEmite design. Roger Ramsey had managed to get his OzEmite into both Coles and Woolworths, but it was delisted in 2005 and 2006 by both Coles and Woolworths because he had less than 1% of the market. Basically, the Aussie public didn't like the taste. And whilst this was happening, we kept working on the actual taste of our OzEmite, and by 2011, we actually announced that we had the taste right and we were about to present it to Coles and Woolworths. You wouldn't believe it, but Roger Ramsey suddenly appears and takes action at the Trademarks Office to get our name struck off because he says we haven't used it for a 3-year period. And we just couldn't believe it at the time because we'd eventually got this fantastic product. We tried to buy Roger Ramsey's product at the time. It wasn't available in Coles and Woolies, so we managed to get ours on the shelf. Now let's look at the court case. At the moment, we've spent over $60,000 and we're told it could cost up to $200,000. The most amazing thing is Roger Ramsey had tried to have our name struck off back in about 2003, but then he withdrew his application to strike our name off because he said to the trademarks people, oh, if I'm not successful, I could not afford to pay the costs. Well, what's happening now? Because we don't think Roger's going to be successful. Let me read here. The fact that we didn't sell it for 3 years, the Trademarks Office or the court can say, if the register may be convinced that it is reasonable to allow the trademark to remain registered in the circumstances. And we believe a court will decide that it's only fair, seeing we came up with the name first, seeing we had a good reason for the delay whilst we got the taste right, that it's only fair that we're allowed to stay. And by the way, we don't necessarily object if Roger Ramsey's OzEmite there and Dick Smith's OZEmite is there beside each other. The public can tell the difference quite easily. So now we're in this incredible court case. I've worked out what I reckon will happen. I think if Roger Ramsey gets the finding against him, he'll just declare bankruptcy like Bondi did. Of course, won't pay his lawyers, but we'll have to pay all the costs of our lawyers, which could be up to $200,000. That's $200,000 less to charity. What can we do? Well, I'm going to ask you to come to the court case. We'll put on our website when it's on. Of course, that will have no effect on the judge. He'll decide, or she will decide on what the law says. But I think it's really important, just as with the Arnott's case, that we get our supporters down at the court case to show this is utterly ridiculous to have a legal action like this. It's totally ridiculous. And we basically want people to show support for supporting Australian farmers and the fact that we came up with the name and we should be able to use it. What's wrong with a bit of competition? And most importantly, as you know, all the money goes to charity. So any of these costs, let's say they're $100,000 or $200,000, that's just 100 grand or 200 grand less to charity. This is absolutely ridiculous.